Today at Manchester Theatres, it is my pleasure to be joined by theatre maker, performer, and writer Bryony Kimmings, whose hit show Bog Witch is going to be coming to home Manchester from the 26th of March. Now, Bryony is known for making semi-autobiographical pieces of theatre about moments or events in her life and world, and she has so many hit shows from doing so, such as Fake It Till You Make It, Credible, Likeable Superstar Role Model, Mega, and 7 Days Drunk, to name just a few. Bog Witch is coming to Manchester after a hit run in London. So, Bryony, thank you so much for chatting to us today about your latest show. It's doing really, really well, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know about that, but yeah, it's okay. It's good. I mean, we booked a big tour, so I think people were keen to see us.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I've read the reviews. It's people have got a lot of very nice things to
Oh,
say.
okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, good.
So, tell us what the show is about then. What's the story for this one?
It follows a year having moved to the countryside from being very much a city girl, and falling in love with a guy and blending families with a guy who was desperate to live in the countryside and start a kind of eco farm, basically. And a kind of fish out of water tale of someone who really did not want to hear about the climate or ecological collapse. I've got my own problems, thank you. I've got stuff to do. So it's a kind of a year of transformation for me into someone who didn't want to talk about the environment, didn't want to talk about the future of the planet, too busy, through kind of, oh my God, don't stop telling me about it. It's making me feel sad. It's making me feel angry. It's making me feel helpless. It's making me feel mental. And then kind of finding my own place within that ecological kind of movement and being able to engage with it and love nature and kind of in doing so kind of heal this hole in my soul that had been there for quite a long time, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a happy story with some sad bits.
And from what I've read, it kind of is broken. It follows like the different seasons, doesn't it? So explain a
Yeah.
little bit about that to me, how that works.
Well, when we moved here, we started to. I was like, I was a massive consumer. Like I like spend money to make myself feel better.
Mm.
Essentially, I think we all know that feeling. Payday comes, you buy stuff to fill the feelings that you're
Yeah.
having. And part of that with my son was always celebrating any possible celebration. Like, let's do Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year. Let's do Valentine's Day. Like, and spending money basically. And when we got here, that was not going to go down well. So it's like, okay, let's buy a book called The Witch's Wheel of the Year or The Pagan Wheel of the Year, and let's try and celebrate instead nature. Let's try and like get things from the garden or gather things from our local environment and celebrate in the kind of pagan wheel of the year. So basically it was me trying to trick myself into still having celebrations without buying stuff. But actually it was really beautiful. It connected me to the landscape. It connected me to my kind of ancient self, although saying that I know that sounds awful, but like, like my
I know what you mean.
animal self. And the kids loved it and people started to come to our house to celebrate the year. So then it was like, okay, that transformation of the year, that kind of wax and wane, that kind of growth and that death and that rebirth really felt really potent and poignant to me. And I wanted to share that with the world and kind of how beautiful that can be. And also it felt like it took a year to kind of find my feet here. I mean, probably more likely 4 years, but crammed it all into one year.
Yeah.
And also I like the episodic nature of it. Here's spring, here's summer, here's autumn,
Yeah.
here's winter. So you'll see the seasons. And then it goes back to spring again.
Yeah. Brilliant. And
Like life.
like life, yeah. And so when like we've said, you do like these sort of semi-autobiographical pieces. So how do you then decide, oh, this moment in my life, or this has happened, this is what's going to make a great piece of theatre?
Well, actually, since the last one I made, which was before the pandemic, which was called I'm a Phoenix,
Mm.
I started and didn't make a couple of shows. Like I'd found out I had ADHD. I was going to make a show about that, and then I was like, I don't think we need another show about ADHD. And then I was going to make a show. Yeah, I was like, I know that's never happened to me before, where I wasn't like, this is what I
Yeah.
want to make a show about. But I realised that was because I was quite content. Like I was like happy. Generally, therefore, it's when something bad happens, or if something happens that I'm just like, I don't like that. That's not okay.
Yeah.
So generally things will tell you. I mean, the last show was about having a postnatal depression and kind of a very sick baby, and the one before that was about my then partner's mental health, a friend's cancer scare, cancer treatment, not scare. My one was about my niece, so they kind of like jostle their way to the front. But generally, it's hang on, why don't we talk about that? Or we need to talk about this. That kind of makes the cut for me. It's never. It's always that. It's like, oh, we don't talk about this enough, so now we need to make a comedy performance art show about it, so we can get people to leave, having had a lovely night out, but also talking. It's always the kind
and
of
thinking about it. Yeah. And I think that's what's brilliant with this one, because as you've already sort of said, it isn't something that was really on your radar. It wasn't anything that was, and it's through meeting someone else and having conversations and being open enough to kind of go, oh, actually, yeah, okay. And I think because of that, it makes it human and relatable and not in any way preachy, like throwing it down your throat.
That movement can be quite preachy.
Yeah.
Like, it's also like people with a lot of time on their hands, not to be rude, but like people that have got wealth or people that have got time have like been able to engage with the environment, or they're living an off-grid kind of not plugged into capitalism. They're moving around in, vans or whatever. So it's either like you're dropping out or you can afford to care.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it quite elitist. And it also, so that's one thing. Like I didn't want it to sound, like, why aren't you guys stopping people from going from work? Like standing on a motorway trying to stop normal people from going to work is not how you get people to be interested in the climate. We know that now. And the other thing is, people don't want to talk about it. Like, they don't want to be scared. Mostly because no one's got a solution. So why would you spend your normal life panicking about the planet when you have no power over it, and you're just one tiny little cog? Like, that's the thought, isn't it? It's like, I could, but there's nothing, I won't change anything. So I think that's kind of created this sort of slight feeling of like, that subject is not for me. That subject is not for me. And actually, you're right, like meeting someone who was like, did you know this? Did you know that? Did you know this? First of all, was telling me all the stuff. And then after a while, it was like, because I was connecting perhaps a bit more with nature, perhaps I was unplugging from, finding ways to soothe myself with just doing and buying. I started to really listen, and I sort of had to say to him, can you just make it a bit more palatable? Can you like not say it all the time? There's a kind of like need to go through the processes of grief with the climate crisis, I think. Like, I'm going to feel really sad, then I'm going to feel really guilty, then I'm going to feel like very angry. And it's like a real, almost like a film coming off your eyes. You're like, okay, this is the reality of the situation, which is terrifying, but at the same time, it's a bit like the Matrix. I feel like it's like, unplug that thing in the back of your head, and you're like, okay, now I know. I'm not scared anymore because I've got the information. So I wanted it to feel like you're with your mate down the pub, and they're like, I'm as big an idiot as you in this particular. I don't want to talk about it either, but we have to. And so, how are we going to do that? How are we going to be able to find joy in it, because I found joy in it through being out in nature and like looking around and being like, oh my God, I'm an animal. Like, I'm the same as that plant, and that plant is the same as me. Like, that was really helpful, because it was like, oh, so if I'm no different to the rest of this planet, then I've got to help it. Like, it's like, it was a very beautiful feeling. So I was like, if I can just make it not preachy, not scary, really entertaining, beautiful to look at, and have people, like, the first time I shared something was at Charleston House, which is near me here. It was just a monologue. I was allowed to read it on a piece of paper, even. It was that, early. And a woman said to me afterwards, had sent me a message on, I think it was Instagram. She said, we talked about it all the way home. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? And she was like, I was like, what, the monologue? And she was like, no, the climate. And I was like, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like I've never spoken to my friend. She was like, I've never spoken to my friend about it, about how worried I am about it, actually, how
Yeah.
nervous it makes me. And then they spent like they're traveling home talking about it. I was like, that's it. That's all I want. That we all start to just go like, oh, okay, like,
Yeah.
it's really difficult, but it felt like an important job for an artist to do, to be able to be part of that.
Yeah. And I think it's a clever way that you've done it as well, because yeah, it isn't you should be doing this, you should be doing that. It's just like just look, just
Mm,
gather information for yourself
mm,
in your own
mm.
time, in your own way, but do it. It's
Yeah.
kind of that, isn't it? So
Yeah, and I think perhaps potentially more the message is, you weren't asked. You were never asked if you'd like to be disconnected from this amazing planet.
mm,
Like, you were never asked that question. That was just taken from you, your kind of relationship, and it's making us poorly. Like, we know that
mm,
we're now getting green prescriptions. We're now being told to meditate in nature. We are animals, so actually, it's not your fault. Like, that
mm,
was taken from you. So that feeling of guilt, or that feeling of like, what, well, I don't want to, it's not
yeah,
your fault. This was something that happened to us. And now we have every possibility of coming back to the planet, and actually even walking in nature is
mm,
radical in that way. And I think rather than being like recycle or don't take flights or those things that put blame on you, actually more the joy of coming back to nature was a thing
yeah,
that was like, that'll be what saves us all, is people falling back in love with it and therefore not being okay with it being
yeah,
destroyed.
yeah, definitely. And you touch on many themes, other themes as well. Like you briefly mentioned grief and loss, but love, um, and you do it from what I've read with a genuine vulnerability, but that's wrapped up in comedy. For comedy, it's wrapped up with this comedy. So is that your kind of gateway into these difficult things? Is that how
Yeah.
you're able to go there?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, me personally.
Yeah,
I don't know really. I think I use the comedy. I think everyone uses comedy
yeah,
when things are hard. Like, it's chemo wards are the funniest places I've ever been to, for example. Like, there is a need, particularly a British need, to kind of to do that. Um, I think I use it in my shows to make you feel safe.
mm,
I think I'm constantly trying to find the ways in which you start to relax in your seat. And naturally, I am chatty and a bit dippy, and I think people find that quite funny. So comedy has always been a way of either, coming to terms with things, but also it is a way of sort of slightly Trojan horsing,
yeah,
slowly sliding you into a feeling. And I think unless you've had a good laugh, you can't really have a good cry.
yeah,
You kind of need both of those things, yeah, in life and in theatre, I think.
yeah. And it is a one-person show, but you're almost not alone on the stage because you are surrounding yourself with, I mean, set costumes, props,
Mm.
scenery, digital imagery, sound.
Yeah.
There's visually, it sounds amazing. What can you tell us without giving too much away?
Um, well, luckily now I'm a bit older and I've made more shows, I get a better budget. So I think there's a sort of real joy to the kind of epicness that you can create when you get these slightly larger stages. And I wanted to make sure it was gorgeous in that way. That it feels a bit like a gig,
Mm,
or it feels like a larger scale thing. And my partner Will, who I moved to the countryside with,
yeah.
he's the video designer and he designs video for my work always. So the this got quite a large canvas, and it's very. I actually like a student sent me their essay the other day saying it was very Brechtian, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Of course they'd say it was Brechtian because
Yeah,
that's what you learn, but actually it is quite Brechtian. It's like symbols, not
yeah.
there's not much set. There's a giant canvas and projections, and then there's a few choice outfits. I love an
Okay.
outfit, and a few choice objects, but they're all sort of whittled or like made very pagan kind of vibes. But the projection is what I think makes it look
Yeah.
really grand. And those projections are actually shadows. There's a lot of there's a lot of speaking about shadows in the show, about your shadow self, and they are filmed on the walls of our house in the countryside. So
Oh,
you know, like
wow.
when in the afternoons when you get like
Yeah.
a lovely sort of almost like a mirage on the wall. So we started to film those, and they're kind of part of
I
the
love that.
design. I just like heightened and elegant. Like if I can, like I want it to be stunning for people to watch, but also like the aim is mostly to like have a good night. So you
Yeah.
want to be like, yeah, just make it look glam, you know?
Yeah. And that way you're always taking a piece of home with you as well.
Yeah,
Where
true, true, true.
and you've got to tell me, I keep reading about a tornado scene
Oh,
that people keep saying is just like, oh, a storm or
yeah,
something.
it's a tornado.
And that
Well, kind of
the
like a tornado, yeah.
yeah, that the effect and the impact of that is that, like in all the different reviews I've read, that keeps coming up time
Oh,
and time again.
really? I
Yeah.
don't read my reviews, so I don't.
Well, there you
I mean, I
go.
like sort of slightly read them, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
ugh.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a scene, I suppose, when it's in autumn, where everything's mentally kind of happening to me, and also the storm season in the UK. So yeah, there's a beautiful bit of where the sound design and the set design and everything comes together, and yeah, it's a really satisfying
Mm,
moment. I like it. It's one of my favorite
yeah,
bits. Um, yeah, I think also there's like a tiny little reference to the Wizard of Oz in it, because like
yeah,
like a little thing goes past, like in the window when Dorothy's in the house and she's spinning around.
yeah.
We tried to get a few, again, this sort of like, I think the feeling for theatre was, yes, pared back, yes, Brechtian, but also little references to
Mm,
other shows, other historical kind of films and shows, just for playful, just to be
yeah,
playful, it was on
yeah.
our
Just
mood board. Um, and yeah, Wizard of Oz was one of them.
yeah. It sounds good. And in your blurb, it says that there was that when you moved, you became fascinated by like a swampy, hence the Bog Witch. So tell
Yeah.
what was this fascination? What was it?
It was actually a conversation. There's two things that happen with the bog, because there is a bog in our garden. There's like a, well, we live on a homestead.
Hmm.
There's another family now that live in a caravan on our homestead as well, and we're trying to create a co-op of
Mm.
families. There's a bit where, sounds gross, but there's a bit where the like the septic tank kicks out into the garden. It's like an old system that we're not meant to have, so don't tell anyone. It meant to like replace them. It's called a soakaway, and it creates this disgusting bog, right? And like when I first arrived, I was like, I don't want to be here. This is awful. Like it's a lane full of like empty houses, second homes, and it's like silent. And I
Mm.
went and put my computer in this little barn and was like, just don't talk to me. I'm just going to write, and this is all going to go away. And right outside the barn is where this swamp is. It's like stinky old swamp. And I think got pissed on one of the first nights that we were here, and was like, I'm going to turn into a bog witch. That's it. Like, no one's ever going to see it. I was like on the phone to my friend, no one's ever going to see me again. I'm going to get sucked into that bog. And it just sort of stuck, this sort of
Yeah.
idea that I was becoming, all my friends thought it was so funny that I was becoming a bog witch, like, and actually like slowly over time with these pagan celebrations and these kind of rituals that we started to do, I was like, oh my God, I actually am turning into a bog witch. And by the end, I'm like fully happy to be a bog witch.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's basically a swamp of like effluent in my garden. It's like basically I kept being like, ugh.
Well, you wrote a play about it, so
I did.
Uh, Bryony, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Honestly, it's been really fascinating listening to you, and I am sure that this is going to be another big success in
I hope
Manchester.
so. I
You
hope
can
so.
catch it at home from the 26th of March, so get your tickets and we will see you there. Thank you so much, and
That's
all the
okay. Thank
best.
you.